Céad Cantor Ella Anish Shanador Aubrey McCarthy Cuig Nomad.
Thank you, Lasky Hillock, and thank you, Minister, for being here. Homelessness is very close to my own heart. I've been involved in the homelessness sector since 2006, so I have seen it grow into a humanitarian crisis that demands immediate attention. And many people have quoted the recent figures from the Department of Housing that show over 15,378 individuals who are in emergency accommodation, including 4,653 children. So these aren't just numbers, Minister, they represent lives that are totally disrupted, where you have children growing up in hotel rooms, and you have families without shelter and individuals forced onto the street, which we see every day at our Lighthouse Cafe on Pier Street. But if you break down these statistics, you see in the last month alone that 92 more adults have been made homeless, 50 more children and 21 more families. So they're serious numbers, which means that approximately 2,200 families are in emergency accommodation, and that is often unsuitable and unstable. So the figures are unacceptable, but they're also preventable, I believe. And I know I spoke in this House in 2016, and we were told that homelessness would be eradicated by 2020. But today, the numbers, it's like when we get them, they're treated as a tragic update in a crisis that continues to spiral out of control. Catherine Kenny, the CEO of the Dublin Simon community, was quoted where she said it's a national embarrassment. And I think it's mere embarrassment, it certainly is, but we need decisive action now. I think there are several root causes, and it's been mentioned by some of my colleagues that certain failures regarding social and affordable housing, where there's a repeated failure to meet the housing targets. So this, in effect, leaves thousands of families in emergency accommodation for extended periods. So I think there's an urgent need to allocate more social housing to long-term homeless families. And that strategy proved very effective during the pandemic. Also, we've talked about the tenant protections, and recently the tenant in situ protections. I think Dublin City Council are going to get 22 million less this year for that. And I think that's going to also exacerbate homelessness. And Focus Ireland has gone on record that this is going to place thousands more at risk of eviction. So I think the message is clear. So we need to safeguard the most vulnerable, and I think the current policies are not doing that. Homelessness, as we know, it extends beyond just providing shelter. It has a profound social ramification on the individuals experiencing homelessness, and children in emergency accommodation. They struggle academically, lacking space to play or to study, and families often experience health challenges, including anxiety or depression. And my own work with Tiglin has also found that people experiencing homelessness are more susceptible to addiction, long-term unemployment, and health complications. So if you can imagine a child growing up in a hotel without a place to invite friends over, a place to study, or a place to stay, well, that's the harsh reality of 4,653 children in Ireland. So I think there are major steps we can take. To see homelessness as inevitable is something we can't do. I believe viable solutions exist, and they must be implemented without delay. And that is, of course, to increase the housing allocation and commit to social housing for people on the long-term homeless list. And also to try and do our best to restore tenant protections and reverse any detrimental changes that are going to come about by the tenant in situ scheme, and to strengthen no-fault eviction safeguards. But also, and I've said it in this House a few times, to recognise homelessness as a crisis, not just in word, but in action. So I will say, Ireland stands, with all the money we have, as the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest countries in Europe. But to have 15,378 people as homeless, I think it's just not acceptable. And I think we must demand immediate, effective action to address homelessness with the seriousness it deserves. In 10 years from now, I think we can look back and see that we actually solved a crisis and came together under your ministry. And I have heard the different soundings you've made, and I am encouraged by them. So I look forward to see what you do on the ground. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Lashka.